Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Pacers Daily. I'm your host, Hery Acosta. Back again with a new video. Let's get to it. First things first, Kevin Durant. What happened with Kevin Durant in 2019? Now, he had a strained calf in the NBA Finals. Game 5 comes around, tears his Achilles. Now, according to Haliburton, Tyrese had called KD when he got his MRI, and he was like, "Do you regret playing in that game? How did it feel not being able to, play the next season? And did you regret everything?" And KD had asked him the same question. Neither of them regretted playing, obviously, because when you're in the NBA Finals, you just give it your all. Now, it's very risky to play with a calf strain. I mean, those are the two prime examples of why you probably don't want to play with a calf strain. But in the NBA Finals, it's really now or never. Now, of course, both players, it ended up costing them the next season. Neither player, unfortunately, won their finals that they got hurt in. But it's just cool that they're able to talk to each other and just kind of get each other's sides, because they both had pretty much the exact same scenario. Had a calf strain, ended up risking it, and both tore their Achilles in the worst ways possible. But, hopefully for Hallie, it's just continues to be a speedy recovery. Obviously, KD was already 30, 31 years old when he tore his. Hallie's only 25. So this recovery will be a lot quicker and a lot, more smooth, especially now that he's walking. So it's good to hear. Now, I always bring up free agents every video, and one that I kind of want to talk about is Patty Mills. He is 37 years old, but he is still a really good three-point shooter, and we could use that off the bench. Now, he's a guy who's going to continue to scrape for minimums until he retires. NBA champ with the Spurs, has played with the Blazers, with the Nets, with the Clippers, with the Hawks, Heat. He's been around the league over the last few seasons, just kind of being that veteran leader, kind of being that backup, that kind of garbage time guy now. But, back then he used to be a great backup, and he would start at some point for those Spurs teams, alongside Tony Parker. But I wouldn't mind having Mills on the team on a minimum, especially because we could use some veteran leadership on the bench. That's kind of one of the reasons we had a player like James Johnson over the last few years, just to have that veteran leadership. So, keeping a lookout for what Patty Mills can do, what the Pacers can do. Now, I have talked about a lot of different people that would be on veteran minimums, kind of like the Alfred Paytons, the Mac McClungs. I talked about those two last episode. Everybody I talk about is not necessarily even linked to the Pacers. They're just, I just kind of looked around and just wanted to see, who would be a decent fit? Who would actually benefit the Pacers? Who would be low risk, high reward in case one of these players turns out to have a wonderful season? And one of those players would be Patty Mills, just because he is 37. You sign him to a 1-year minimum. See what he can do. Don't even have to play him. Just have that voice in the locker room. A guy who's won a championship, who's been there. So, that's really the only main reason why I think he would be good. Now, over to Ben Mathurin, our starting shooting guard. How good does Ben Mathurin need to play for this team to function? Mathurin needs to have, I wouldn't say needs to. I would say he needs to strive for an all-star level season. Now, if he's not an all-star, that's fine. But still, a season where he puts up 18 to 20, maybe even 22 points a game, he is going to be that scorer in the starting lineup. He is going to need to be efficient for this team to function. Now, he's not the only one. Siakam is also going to have a big season. And obviously, Siakam is known for having big seasons because Siakam is a 3-time All-Star, All-NBA player, Most Improved player. He's done it all, NBA champ. But now he's got to really show that he's the leader, and he's got to push Mathurin to be pretty much the best player in the lineup. Because potential-wise, Mathurin's got some insane potential. This was a lottery 6 overall pick back in 2022, who actually showed up as played very well as a rookie, had that sophomore slump mainly because of that injury towards the end, and then came back with a really good third season where he played well all the way up to the finals. So just Mathurin's gonna have to really step up. I mean, he's been a kind of a consistent 14, 15 point a game scorer off the bench, but he still hasn't hit that level or hit that stride yet that the Pacers were hoping that he would hit by either last season or this season. Now, he's still 23 years old, still a long way to go, still a lot of seasons to prove, but this is the one where he really needs to show out just because he's finally getting that starting spot, and he's probably going to have that starting spot for the whole season. And now, last but not least, I saw an interview on this one. A lot of people call Haliburton the Haliban, which is a reference to the Taliban, and just the way he pretty much just ends seasons for teams. I mean, he ended the Bucks season with a game winner. He started off every other series with a game winner, either in game 1 or game 2 or a game tying shot. But Haliburton is not actually a fan of that nickname just because of the circumstances behind like who the Taliban are. So he's not actually the biggest fan of the nickname, and he just doesn't speak out about it. But he does have a lot of other nicknames, so he does like the other ones, but it's just that specific nickname he's just not a fan of, which I get it, it's fine. But everyone's gonna come up with some crazy nickname, some play on words from his name, just because you can make a lot with Hallie. So, but also speaking of Hallie, just continue the rehab, just because from all the reports that I've seen, from all the reports that we've all seen, everything's looking positive so far, knock on wood. And it's just looking like he's going to be back for 2026, 2027, like as soon as the season starts. Because once those 12 months hit, it'll be right after the finals. So he should be medically cleared a little bit before the playoffs, but then not worry about playing him, making sure he's fully healthy, making sure we retain most of the team, and just kind of try to have a good offseason next year. Just because the Pacers this year didn't really, do nothing crazy. They didn't really do too much. But still, I think we had a good offseason. That's the thing. We outside of losing Turner, there really nothing crazy happened with the Pacers lineup. Got Jay Huff. Who knows? He could end up being the next Miles Turner. So you never know these days. But at the end, as always, this is Pacers Daily. I'm Hery Acosta. Boom, baby, and go, sir.